Well, thanks, Principal O'Keefe. You know, we had an announcement regarding education. We'll still do it, but I know people are excited about Friday night's football game. So I just want to say, you know, I wish you guys the best of luck. I know it's a really big game, and I'm sure it's going to be an exciting playoff run. But to be 10-0 is a great achievement. I know they've won. How many regular season games have you won?
62.
62. That's something else. So, but I really appreciate it very much. Really appreciate the teachers and administrators who are here for the major announcement. Our announcement today is building off of our plan for teacher compensation. As many of you know, Commissioner Corcoran and I have made this a priority for this upcoming legislative session. We recently announced that it was our goal in the next legislative session to increase the minimum salary for every teacher in Florida. We're 26th in the nation now. We want to raise it to a level that will make Florida #2 in the nation for minimum salaries. And so that will obviously let us recruit more people to become teachers. It will allow us to retain more. But it also, just with the current teachers we have, would be a pay increase for over 100,000 teachers. I think it's like 60% of all teachers in Florida, you know, would see a pay increase with our goal to make Florida, you know, second in the nation for minimum salary. And so we think that that's something that would make sense. We think that that will actually help increase student achievement. And you know, we're proud to support that and push that through the legislature. But we also, you know, recognize that, you know, we need to do what we can to reward our really good teachers. We have had for a number of years in Florida a program for teachers, Best and Brightest. Initially, it was tagged to the SAT, which, you know, I understand why that was done theoretically, but I mean, it didn't really make sense for a lot of teachers, and so we worked last year to eliminate that, to try to make it a little more equitable. You still had a situation where, you know, it was kind of a confusing program, and so Richard and I, you know, just decided, look, let's just do, you know, a strong bonus program for not only teachers but for principals, and we're proposing to do that at the tune of $300 million, which is more than they've ever done for bonuses before in the state of Florida. And so using a revised model, a totally new program based on school grades and improvement, teachers and principals will be eligible for 3 tiers of bonuses, with the first tier being the highest bonus available. And we are trying to incentivize teachers and principals to be willing to go to and remain at Title I schools, which are some of the schools that are in more low-income areas, but that have some of the greatest need. And so for teachers at those Title I schools and principals, they will have the ability to get even higher bonuses. And then, of course, we have tiers 2 and 3 based on similar criteria. So for Title I schools, you're looking at a top-tier bonus for teachers at $7,500 for a teacher, and for a Title I principal, a $10,000 bonus. And then the minimum bonus amounts for teachers and principals at Title I schools will be $1,000 and $2,500 respectively. For top-tier bonuses for teachers and principals at non-Title I schools, we're doing $3,700 and $5,000 respectfully. So we think this is an improvement on the Best and Brightest program, and I think it's going to be something that is going to, you know, reward those folks who are really working hard on behalf of our students, but also do it in a way that recognizes, you know, there are certain schools that have a need to really have great teachers. And so we want to make sure that we're incentivizing that as best as we can. And so I think that the total package between our minimum salary and the bonuses for teachers and principals, you know, this is the most far-reaching, robust package that has ever been offered in this state in a long, long time. I mean, Richard can try to, you know, maybe say, but I mean, you're talking about going back decades to be able to do this. And so I think we've gotten a lot of great feedback from the public on having a stronger minimum base. And then now I think this will be something that people look at and say, yeah, you know, this makes a lot of sense as well. So I want to bring up Richard to say a few words about what we're doing.
Thank you, Governor.
I'll echo a lot of what the governor said. It really is a transformative package. We haven't seen a, approach package for teachers. And just going back to number joke, I said, but we're number 2, and we've already got calls. Our department is already fielding calls. Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, people are calling us saying, hey, is it really true you're raising the minimum base pay to $47.5? Because if that's true, we're coming. And so the things that you've read about in the past in Florida, they'll be non-existent. Teacher shortages, whatever it is, will be non-existent because people will come because we're Florida. And we're rewarding and elevating and celebrating teachers the way they should be. And now you add to that, as the governor said, that's almost 60% of teachers. Now you add this bonus program, now we're at almost 80% of all teachers are going to see significant increase in compensation. And here's what I'll say that is most rewarding for working for Governor DeSantis. Language arts, all of the nation in AP test takers, number 3 in the nation on AP test successful takers. On almost every metric we do really well. But here we are 20 years after we've had this massive reform, and the old adage is you can tell a lot about an individual and you can tell a lot about a society is how they take care of those who are most in need. And the fact of the matter is 20 years after reform, the quantity of C, D, and F schools that are Title I are almost 90% in the state. And more than 50% of our students are Title I. And so when you come out with a bonus program that basically says we're going to focus and put all of these resources into significant resources into the Title I schools to elevate, and once you put that great teacher in front of them, in front of those students, you put a great principal in front of those students, you're going to see those scores grow exponentially. And it is truly a remarkable program, bonus program. It's focused on what we need to be focused on, is lifting everybody up so that everybody gets that world-class education. And I do want to thank, not to just the governor, but what we're doing under Governor DeSantis, you probably don't even recall this, but last session we came with our readiness rates for VPK and early learning. 42% were subpar. The governor sent us a letter saying we're going to fix that. The person who's leading the charge for us in the House is Representative Grahl. So not only are you going to see these K-12 teachers elevated and celebrated, you're going to see reforms and accountability in our VPK system. And what does that mean? That means that, instead of having a 57%, the highest ever third grade reading level for our students, now we're going to be able to go and say, okay, you know what? Our goal is 100%. And we're going to get there. And we're going to get there by putting the best teachers in front of these students and the best principals in front of these teachers and giving them the autonomy to go out there and be great. And so it's a fantastic program. We got work to do in the legislature, but we'll get it done because it is absolutely the right thing to do for the state of Florida. So, Governor, it's an honor to work with you, and I look forward to getting this done.
Thanks. And Richard mentioned some of the most recent NAEP scores. I mean, I think nationally it was a big letdown. I think Florida, part of that was reflected, but I think we held our own, which is good. But it seems like there's a national trend of stagnation in terms of student achievement. So we want to do what we can to make sure that we're continuing to put our best foot forward. And so I think we've done some good things. Last session we did a lot with vocational education. We did stuff with computer science. That is all being implemented as we speak. We did stuff with civics, which I think is very important. But I think this component is something that's really, really important to make sure that we're in good shape going forward. So I think that we're going to get a lot of support from the legislature for this, and I look forward to having a really strong legislative session where we're doing a lot of great reforms. And with that, I can take a question or two if anyone's got any in the press. So.
Governor, question. So that's for first-time teachers.
Nope. The minimum is for every teacher. So, we have some, even some of the high-cost counties, the starting salary in like Broward County is like $40,000. So you may have people in Broward making 40, 41, 40, they would go up to 47.5. We have other teachers who are in more rural areas or in the 30s. They would go up. Any current teacher benefits. It's not just for new teachers. It's for, in the state of Florida, what we're saying is, this is where you got to start. And obviously we're putting the money up from the state to be able to get us there so we can do it.
So that bonus program will help those teachers who've been working, say, 20 years.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. And it will totally, they will have an opportunity to do that. And particularly for those teachers at the Title I schools, I mean, you're looking at, I mean, that's probably what, that's probably a 15% compensation if you look at where their base is probably for the Title I teachers who are in the Tier 1. So I think that that'll be something that'll be very meaningful for them.
So, Governor, will the criteria for becoming a high-performing school change in order to get these bonuses?
From best and brightest? So Richard can tell you the exact criteria on kind of how we're doing it.
No, we take our existing accountability system that has been tested for 20 years and is the best in the country, and we use those metrics, and we look at what the school grades were and how well those schools improved. So Tier 1 would be you grew by 6% or above, or you were in the top 15% of all schools. Tier 2 would be 3 to 5%, and Tier 1 would be 1 to 2%. So any of those schools with principals or teachers, all the teachers, the principal in that school would be eligible for the bonuses.
We have time for one more thing on that.
Governor, switching topics a little bit, can you comment on the shooting that happened this morning at the school in California, and what do you think needs to be done to prevent another shooting at a school?
I can't comment because I just got in town from Washington. I was at a function, but Richard and I have been working very hard on the school security here in the state of Florida. I mean, we've put forth a lot of money to do it. We're also working on a threat assessment, which really we're leading the country and going down this road. And the reason we're doing it, and actually the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas report talked about how these incidents just writ large, a lot of these are, there's glaring red flags that get put up. And so we want a system to be able to do that. The Secret Service just completed a study, I think they published it last week, that looked at specifically these school incidents. And I think the report said 100% of them had some type of red flag that if that had been tended to, that they could have been averted. I haven't had a chance to dig through all of it yet, but that's really, what we're going to continue to do. The physical security is important, but then also having systems in place where you understand when these red flags are there to take them seriously and to be able to act accordingly. And so we're committed to continuing to try to get that right. Thanks, everybody.